Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. Now I know for anyone keeping track of numbers, this one's from the distant future, but to be fair, it's not. What it is something that's come out, and I just needed to talk about it as soon as possible. Classic Doctors, New Monsters Volume 1. Now, because I wasn't paying as much attention as I could have been, what I actually thought was happening was that it was a whole new sub-range. It wasn't a box set containing 4 individual stories. Oh no. It was just individual stories coming out that happened to have new monsters. Volume 1 was going to be the first story, Volume 2 was going to be the second story, and so on. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, Doctor Who is all one massive thing. And in order to be able to present to you, the audience, us wonderful consumers, well, we need constant supply of new stuff. New takes on stories, new twists, new turns, but basically the same sort of stuff. This is perfect, because this is a box set. Now, imagine, if you will, you're one of the new school Doctor Who fans, the people who started with Eccleston or even with Tennant, God forgive them. And they're the people who bought the David Tennant box set. They hadn't experienced Big Finish before, they're not that familiar with the classic Doctors. How are we going to get them to experience the old school stuff? They've bought one brand new box set. They're very, very happy with the David Tennant stuff. They need a way in. A gateway, shall we say. So the gateway drug of choice to the rest of the Big Finish range isn't going to be a Doctor, it's going to be a monster that they're already very familiar with. And here we have 4 of them. Well, 3 new monsters and a new take on an old monster. We've also got 4 stories. If you're a little bit strapped for cash, or more likely it's the summer and you want to hear some new Doctor Who, then this again is perfect for you. Basically, this is an absolutely stand-out box set. What do we get? 4 stories, 4 Doctors, 4 monsters. Number 1, 5th Doctor, Fallen Angels. Number 2, that's the Judoon, dealing with the 6th Doctor. You can see where this is going. Number 3, Harvest of the Sycorax, dealing of course with the Sycorax. And then the 4th story, the Sontaran Ordeal. This one's got the 8th Doctor, but most importantly, this is the 8th Doctor actually in the Time War. Not messing around at the beginning, not going, oh, is this the Time War, is it not? None of that, no Gallifrey nonsense. No, this is the Doctor in the actual Time War, because that's what our new school fans are expecting. This is the Doctor pre-Night of the Doctor, quite clearly. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You see, these are so good. These actually deserve 4 individual podcasts to talk about them. But I just simply don't have the time. And let's face it, they're not available individually. So it would be pointless talking about them. This is one boxed set. Out in July 2016. And it has a pre-order CD price of £20 and a pre-order digital price of £20. £5 per story, per Doctor. That's the sort of bargain you end up getting in one of the Big Finish sales, never mind an actual brand new release. The monsters, creatures, aliens have been chosen very, very carefully. And you know what? Everyone has taken the mick out of the first story before they even knew anything, using that magical sense of entitlement that we all have. Because let's face it, if you're using the Weeping Angels on audio, you're at a bit of a loss. The only thing that could possibly be worse than the Weeping Angels would be the silence, and they're supposed to be turning up in a unit story. Something that doesn't speak very much, or indeed at all, apart from the odd skittering noise or scream. They are the angels. Except, of course, what we've got here is the 5th Doctor and 2 superb companions just for this story. People caught up in... Look, let me just read you the synopsis, thus avoiding any spoilers. 2015, when the sightseers Joel and Gabby Finch encounter a strange man in Edwardian cricketing garb in the Sistine Chapel, their honeymoon suddenly takes a terrifying turn. 1511, Michelangelo is commissioned to complete some very special sculptures by a mysterious sect, but as he carves, angels seem to emerge fully formed from the rock, almost as if they were alive. From Michelangelo's workshop to the catacombs of Rome, the Fifth Doctor must keep his wits about him and his eyes wide open as he confronts the weeping angels. Now, when you're taking stories that are aimed primarily at a new Doctor Who fandom, what you've got to do is up the pace. We're used to the 5th, 6th and 7th and 8th Doctor stories being not so much the 8th, but you know what I mean, using the original formats, the screen running, the 25 minutes episodes, or indeed in some cases the 45 with the 6th Doctor. We know that. Stop being pedantic. We're all there. We're all on the same page. But basically, classic Doctor Who had a slower pace. Certain things were never discussed, and I'll come to those when we discuss the 7th Doctor. But overall, we've still got the same Doctor confronting monsters, saving people. That's your basic theme. So once you take the modern sensibility of Who and graft it onto classic Who, you start noticing differences. The pacing picks up. The storytelling moves along at a massive pace. Yes, there are certain moments of exposition. If you're a new school fan and the Doctor fails to get out of his sonic screwdriver, you need some explanation. The 5th Doctor going, oh, I must get out of building a new one since the Pteroleptils destroyed the last one. Little things like that. Throw away remarks, keep everyone in the loop, keep everyone up to date, and it's fine. The 5th Doctor here is by himself, which is quite rare. All of the Doctors in this entire box set appear without companions. All of the people are picked up in the actual story in order to help them, and that works tremendously well. This story also has Matthew Kelly playing Michelangelo. Now, Matthew Kelly, a very tall man who is known to people of a certain age as the bloke off Game for a Laugh. However, he is a tremendously accomplished actor and also massively busy. He appeared with Peter Davison back in 1981 in a sitcom. He's very good at comedy. He's incredibly good at straight drama. Many, many years ago, a friend of mine went to see Matthew Kelly in a stage play, and at the time there was a court case, an investigation into him. And he was in Of Mice and Men, playing Lenny, because Matthew Kelly is an enormous presence. And the night of the performance, there was an announcement made where he was completely exonerated of all charges. The man was utterly innocent, and the person who had accused him was an absolute fantasist who'd eventually been charged by the police. This man was ridiculously innocent and had been the victim of something awful, mainly orchestrated by the press. Some things never change. The audience erupted at the end of the show. Massive standing ovations. My friend was there and she told me all about it. All of the audience in this packed theatre had gone to see him because he's such a great performer. But to many people out there, just like Bonnie Langford will always be the little girl who screams, they've never moved beyond. Matthew Kelly's Michelangelo is brilliant. I didn't even know it was him until the very, very end. However, that's not the most important thing. The companions, one of them played by Sacha Dhawan, another one played by a comedian from Radio 4, whose voice I recognised immediately, were just brilliant. The honeymooning couple who are fans, well, let's put it this way. They're both teachers. One's a science teacher and one's a history teacher. Sounds a little bit First Doctor-y familiar. Well, yeah, that's on purpose. And it just works. The idea of having Sacha Dhawan in a big finish is just brilliant. All of their eggs are being lined up. They've got the new Barbara. They've got Sacha. And they've got a lot of contacts. We could end up with some First Doctor stories using the cast from BBC. It doesn't matter. That's not what we're here to talk about. What we are here to talk about is this brilliant box set. Moving on. You've got the second story, and that's a 6th Doctor thing. These are all one disc long. You've got You've got 2.5 hours worth of narrative crammed into 70 minutes, and it moves along at a pace and everything works. Similarly in story number 2 with the Judoon. The minute the Judoon turned up on TV, they deserved to be with the Sixth Doctor. The Sixth Doctor has got this thing about court cases. It just almost wrote itself. And you know what? This works. Judoon in Change, Simon Barnard and Paul Morris, is brilliant. The Sixth Doctor is no stranger to courtroom drama, but faces a very different challenge when he prepares to defend a most unusual Judoon. After an environmental clearance mission goes wrong, Captain Kaibo of the 19th Judoon Interplanetary Force is stranded in Victorian England, bound in chains, an exhibit in a circus. But he has allies. Eliza Jenkins, known to audiences Thomasina Thumb and the larger-than-life clown in the colourful coat. Uncovering a trail of injustice and corruption, the Doctor and Kaibo soon find themselves on trial for their lives. It's a great story. It's a story within a story. It's got classic Judoon things, like the movement of one location to another using their perpetual rain machines. It's got... But I don't want to give you any real spoilers. Worthy of comment, however, is the fact that Big Finish have hired, well, I don't know what the politically correct term is these days, so let's go for a little person. They've hired a little person to play a little person on audio, someone who's hung around with Warwick Davis and has been in a lot of performances. Karuna Stamel is Eliza Jenkins, and her performance has heart, wit, and a certain characterisation. And you know what? A few years ago, in a Talons of Wenchang kind of way, it would have just been voiced by any actress around. Good on Big Finish for doing this, because to most people it just wouldn't have mattered. But it does. It genuinely does. And you know what? We can tell. This is a company with its heart in the right place and its head screwed on. The story is superb, goes without question. And as for Captain Kaibo, well, bless Nick Briggs, because there's a man who's destined to lose his voice. Oh, and just because of some emails I've received after the Brexit podcast, well, here's my Judoon voice that I completely neglected to put on as part of that narrative. Thank you. The third story, Harvest of the Sycorax, is notable for many reasons. One of which is that, of course, it's the Seventh Doctor and the Sycorax. It's great. But the most incredible thing that came to me is that you went, oh, it's based under siege, yeah, we know this, we've been here. And then you go, no, this is an entire piece of world building. It starts off with tiny things like characters with surnames like hashtag. And then it builds. And you get a wonderful growth concept. People are carrying things a bit like mobile phones or tablets that tell them what medication they should be taking. It's all really intricate. It's tremendously well stacked. All of the clues are there. Everything fits together. And yes, the Sycorax are boisterous, loud, opinionated, and basically Sycorax rock. Yes, they're fixated on blood, and that's what this story is. But you know what? Each and every single one of these stories feel as though they actually were part of the original run. And that these new stories were just people going, oh look, it's the Judoon again. Or, oh yeah, this is the Sycorax, I know them, they do blood work. Because that's how it could feel. And if you heard these stories first, that's the way it works. They're all written by people who know what they're doing. And you know what? When a creature is in the TV show, often the writers come along and add things or change things. For example, you need a body print for a Zygon to work, and now all of a sudden on a TV you don't need a body print for a Zygon copy to work. Well, it's the other way around in these audios. All of the rules laid down for the monsters. Sycorax use blood. Sycorax have a spaceship that's a hollowed out spaceship. That kind of thing. Yes, tiny things are added, but the actual core works and remains true to the originals. Another thing, as well as the fabulous world building, is that there are a couple of characters with fairly fluid sexuality, the sort of thing that we're very used to in Doctor Who these days, but the sort of thing that was merely hinted at or pushed around the table. And anyone who's seen Sophie Aldred in a suit in Ghostlight and had certain brand new feelings knows exactly the sort of thing I'm getting at. Well, here, rather than make a big issue of anything, you've got some great new little storylines. but it helps to the world building. It's not just throwaway, it's not just an addition to the plot, it's actually important. Here's the synopsis. Harvest of the Sycorax by James Goss. In the far future, humanity has a remedy for everything. Whatever the problem, PharmaCore has the answer and design a disease tailored to every human's blood type. Zanzibar hashtag has no need to be scared, or sad, or stressed, or depressed ever again. That is, until a vicious alien arrives on a space station intent on opening its vault. What will it mean for the human race if the Sycorax take control of what's inside? And when the Seventh Doctor arrives at the scene, can he convince Zanzibar to care about her life long enough to help him? It's a brilliant piece of world building, and it's a great piece of narrative. Like all of these stories, intricately built, and so much more complicated on second glance than they are on first. Everything that is dealt with on the TV show with the Sycorax is mentioned here, almost but not quite like a tick list. And as for performances, you just can't fault them. If ever you've had an issue with the Seventh Doctor, you genuinely won't have one here. Which brings us to the glorious Sontar race and the fourth story in the set, the Eighth Doctor taking on the Sontarans in the middle of the Time War. There's a lot of people out there who will find the Sontaran Ordeal by Andrew Smith possibly the best part of the boxed set. The reason for this is because it has the Eighth Doctor actually in the Time War, something that we've basically just been wanting. Yes, we've enjoyed Dark Eyes and we've enjoyed all of the box sets, we've loved the Lucy Miller years, but let's face it, all a lot of people are waiting for is a nice big chunk of Time War. Gallifrey's the same. We're dancing around the edge, we're pushing through, and yes, we've got the War Doctor, but what we want is the breaking of the Eighth Doctor. Here's the synopsis. An instant in the Time War brings centuries of conflict to the planet of Drakis, and the Eighth Doctor is there to witness the terrible result. A Sontaran fleet, desperate to join the epic conflict, follows in its wake to take advantage of the fallout. But when Commander Drask is beamed down to the ravaged surface, there is more to his arrival than first appears. Soon an unlikely champion joins forces with the Time Lord to fight for the future of her world, and together they must face the Sontaran Ordeal. They've all been directed by Barnaby Edwards. But something absolutely worthy of mention here is that not all of the Sontarans are Dan Starkey. Oh yeah, we've got Christopher Ryan back. Not seen on Doctor Who for some time, we've got, well, you know who he is. You know which Sontaran he played, and you know the setup. It's brilliant having more than one Sontaran voice, although Dan Starkey can do at least 12 at once. It's nice to have an even broader gene pool, so to speak. The story just is fantastic. It has the feel of the Eighth Doctor stories that we've come to deal with on audio, but it also feels just like Night of the Doctor. You can't fault this boxed set. If you're not a big fan of Big Finish, or you've just dip into the range every so often, this is something worth doing. If you're a fan of the new series, then this is for you. It basically is the box set of the summer. Yes, the spin-off ranges are all perfectly good, but if you want some Doctor Who, then this is it. This is what you need to get you through the summer. So with that, I'll play you the trailer and let you decide for yourself. And until next time, when I'm sure we'll be talking about something else, probably Doctor Who, maybe Blake 7, or perhaps even Dungeons and Dragons related. Be seeing you.
Let's hope 19th century England is ready for the Judoon.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions.
Michelangelo! Who the blazes are you?
Get back from the angel!
What?
Sontaha! Sontaha!
You brought your fight into real time. Take your war, your cruel, senseless time war, and leave.
You speak their language?
Oh yes, the Sycorax.
Squad, separate and commence search.
And the only chance you have.
Doctor, the rain. He's trying to snuff out his torch.
Keep your eyes on it, don't even blink.
This sector of space was contaminated by temporal flux.
Why has security not reached that room?
These blocks all around. The angel could be anywhere.
Give us the secrets of the humans.
If you're a Time Lord, You can make things better.
If you bring the Time War here, they will have to live with the consequences.
You may be able to control humans, but you will never understand them.
Any moment now, the infamous Doctor will be nothing but carbonized molecules.
No! Stop!
Doctor Who. Classic Doctors, New Monsters. Volume 1.
The angel. I can't see it.
Can't see anything.
Big Finish. We love stories.
Gabby, I think it's coming.
Joel?
I love you.
On the 3rd of September 2016, Hooverville 8 will be with us. Possibly the friendliest convention in the whole of the UK. This year's guests include, but are not limited to, Kai Owen from Torchwood, Michael Jason from Doctor Who, the Valiard himself, Katie Manning, Joe Grant, Eric Sayward, Sophie Aldred, good old Ace, and Matthew Dale. For more information and to book your ticket, visit the Derby Quad website, www.derbyquad.co.uk, derbyquad.co.uk. That was the Doctor Who Tin Dog Podcast, available on iTunes, YouTube, Twitter, RSS, Vimeo, and across the internet. Doctor Who and its associated properties are all copyright and trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Why not become a supporter by visiting patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.